Today I am going to make pulled pork. I have a 2 pound bone-in Boston butt. Um, Now I can do this with, I've done it with pork loin, I've done it with Boston butt, I've done it with bone in, bone out. Really the cut of pork doesn't matter a whole lot, although I do tend to see the Boston butt, especially a bone in, will have a little bit more flavor and hold the juices a little better than a pork loin. But whatever you have will work fine. So like I said, I've got a 2 pound bone-in Boston butt in here right now. I am going to put just a little bit of salt and pepper. So I like to always season the meat before I cook it. Now today I'm going to use some of this cherry balsamic vinaigrette. Simply because it expires at the end of August and we don't use this for a whole lot, so I don't want it to obviously expire. Normally when I do pulled pork, I'll use pepperoncinis, just dump a jar of that in there along with some garlic powder or fresh garlic and just a little bit of salt and pepper, more pepper than salt because these things that I add to it, like the pepperoncinis and the vinaigrette, already have, some salt in it, so don't want to overload on that. So, like I said, today I'm going to use this, and I'm just going to eyeball it because I don't have a recipe with this, so I'm just going to pour it over. So just to cover it, and then you're going to get the juices from the pork as it's cooking, so that'll help keeping it moist and not drying out too much. Now, usually it's 6 to 8 hours on low, about 3 to 5 hours on high. Since this is only a 2 pound pork roast, it probably won't even take the full 6 hours, so I'm actually going to temp it about 4.5, 5 hours in, and see where we are. I like to temp it, make sure it's at temperature, and then I'll start pulling on it with a fork and see how tender it is. Sometimes even once it's at temperature, you still need to let it sit for maybe another half hour or so, depending on how big your roast is, to get it tender, so it'll pull easily with a fork. So I'm just going to do low. Like I said, my cooker cooks a little hot, so it probably won't take the full 6 hours, and as well as it being a smaller roast. So check back in with you in a few hours. Now I've temped my meat and it is at temperature. I went ahead and shredded, took the bone out. There's a couple big pieces of fat, took that out. So right now we just have a bunch of yummy shredded pork. And since it is way too early, we're not ready to eat dinner yet, I'm going to take it and pour it back in my crock pot just to keep it warm. And I've still got the juices from cooking in there, and that'll just sit in there and get, just nice and yummy. And it doesn't need to cook anymore, so I'm going to make sure that I put it on warm and not on low, because if it keeps cooking, you can actually dry it out and overcook it, and we don't want to do that. So I'll see you in a little bit. So here is the finished product. I used a slotted spoon to take all the pork out of the crock pot, left all the juices behind. I used about a half a bottle of, this is just the barbecue sauce that I had in the cabinet. Use a half bottle on that. Just let it sit for a minute, let it really soak in, and here's the finished product. I just have on a whole wheat bun and some chili beans, because that's what I had in the cabinet. Running low. Going to be doing a Sam's Club haul this weekend. Usually I like to do coleslaw. Don't have any coleslaw. Like I said, we're running low on supplies. That was my daughter. Yeah, we will have a true kid reaction. What do you think of Mama's sandwich?
I didn't really taste it.
Okay.
Good.
Good? Alright, so there you go, folks.
Delicious. Delicious.
Get approved.
Ask for sour sauce.